unique eux-mêmes, le royaume du ciel, que celui qui est capable de le recevoir, qu'il le reçoive.
So it's written, he that we can force people not to give it anyone.
Et si je me rappelle, il a dit, on ne peut pas forcer personne à être avec quelqu'un.
It's a personal choice. It doesn't have consequences, of course, but yes, the person who wants to be with somebody out of the movement can do it, but it will have its consequences. Yes.
The other one. So the next question is for Katia.
So the question is, in different presentations, I have heard speakers talking about the end of equality in the United States. My question is, one, has there ever been equality in the United States? Two, if yes, at which period of their history? And three, if no, why do we talk about the end of equality in the USA? The end of equality. I know that we've not been through the rest of the chapters of Daniel. But if we had time, we would have gone to Daniel chapter 4. In Daniel chapter 4, we have Nebuchadnezzar who has a dream. And in his dream, he sees that big tree filling the earth. And under this tree, there is fowls of the air, birds. Du ciel, of the head, yeah. And there is also food for everyone. That is a parable. That looks like the one of the mustard seed. Mustard seed. The first purpose of the United States, it was to shelter people and to be a place of safety. But they have failed their duty. This is why in the same chapter, Daniel says that you have to say to Nebuchadnezzar, you have to go back, to your purpose and take care of the poor and the widows. The United States were raised to be that place where equality would have happened. And the Constitution was key for that equality to happen. But we know that through history, this equality has not really been put in place. There were advancements, but as we can see today, there's still a great gap. Yeah, and the people who are suffering the most are women, the LGBT, and people of color. In terms of why we are speaking about equality, it's because Messenger was raised up and was able to pinpoint the issue for this time. When Elder Tess came with the Midnight Cry message, she started with the King of the North and the King of the South to show the inequality in both ways. So when, as a people, we have an awareness of what the issue is, it becomes a prophetic element. This is why our message is based on equality. And what was the rest of the question? It's okay. Yeah. And so it becomes a test for us today, because we can't say that we don't know. So equality we can't say that equality has existed really, but we can see a progression in the history of the United States. And now it's our turn to uphold this equality and to understand the test. All right.
Next question. Just for Elder Terry.
Donc, la question suivante, c'est pour l'ancienne Thierry.
Why can't we have tattoos?
Alors, pourquoi ne pouvons-nous pas avoir de tatouage?
Prominent speakers in the movement engage in non-feminist activities on public platforms and then teach feminism.
Alors, les orateurs féminins du mouvement se sont engagés dans les activités non féministes sur les plateformes.
A tattoo seems harmless compared to this.
Et ensuite, enseigne féministe et semble être pas nuisible.
Health concerns about tattoos should be a personal choice, much like diet.
Donc, les questions de santé au tatouage sont personnelles, au même titre qu'un régime alimentaire.
So first of all, I'm not sure what these prominent speakers are doing on the public platforms.
Donc, premièrement, je sais sur la collaboratrice de premier plan sur les plateformes publiques.
So I'm not sure of the wisdom in comparing having a tattoo to whatever they're doing.
Et je ne pense pas que ce soit ça qui peut être tatoué à ce que ces personnes font.
But generally, it's a dangerous thing to compare members with members.
Mais de façon, c'est dangereux de comparer les membres entre eux.
God doesn't compare people with people.
Parce que Dieu ne compare pas les gens avec les gens.
So, yes, I think we should be careful in doing that.
Et je pense que nous en faisant cela.
So the question of tattoos falls under baptismal vow number 18.
Alors, la question
And vow 18 has to do with the house in which we live,
et le vœu 18,
how we dress, how we present this body.
comment nous
This body who isn't who we are. If we can compare our bodies to, say, our physical homes, we want our houses to look clean and tidy and welcoming.
et nous voulons bien bouger,
But the more important thing about our houses is the people inside them.
mais le
So the most important thing about us as persons is our personality, the people who we are inside this body.
et donc la personne qui nous sommes en tant que personne.
So the vow is asking us to keep our bodies healthy and the external bodies healthy and simple.
Et donc, les nous demandons de garder externe, on va dire, extérieur simple et en bonne santé.
So our dress, how we present this body, should be healthy and simple.
Alors, la façon
A dress that reflects the inner person, not the house in which we live.
alors,
Want to attract people to what we believe. So then are tattoos healthy and simple?
donc, le tatouage est simple, simple et simple.
And I would suggest that you do some research on tattooing.
Et je vous suggère
I'll read a small portion here.
que je
Needles of a tattoo machine punches between 50 and 3,000 times per minute through the epidermis, through the outer layer of the skin. You want to do that? Yep.
Alors, les aiguilles qui passent sur la machine ponctuent en fait la peau entre 50 et 3000 fois par minute en dessous de l'épiderme.
And through other layers of the skin, through deeper layers of the skin.
Et également sur des portions plus profondes de la peau
That has nerves and blood vessels.
qui ont des nerfs et des vaisseaux sanguins.
dans l'épiderme et l'épiderme.
Every time the needle penetrates, it causes a wound that alerts the body immune system to begin an inflammatory process.
La peau, et ben, problème inflammatoire et attaquer le système immunitaire.
So it's an injury.
Donc c'est une blessure.
It causes inflammation,
ça provoque des inflammations
and it will continue to work your immune system while you have that tattoo.
et ça va.
The reasons tattoos fade over time is because of your immune system. So I think a thoroughly research on that topic will show that it's not a healthy procedure.
Alors, voilà aussi.
And so while the vow doesn't explicitly list tattoos, I think it falls under the category of adornment,
Alors, il va rentrer
that is neither simple or healthy,
et ce qui est simple,
and doesn't attract people to the inner adornment.
et cela,
Which we would say is Jesus Christ in us, the hope of glory. Does anybody else have any thoughts on tattooing?
alors, est-ce que quelqu'un
Thank you. So the next question is for Elena.
Le question, c'est quoi?
Does it work? Yes. If the USA is being judged for its sins, why is it judged twice for the same sin at Sunday law and close of probation, unless there are two different things it is being judged for? So I think at close of probation, the whole world is judged. Between Sunday law and close of probation, every individual can agree with the loud cry or reject it. They will get the mark of the beast or the seal of God. So judgment at close of probation is not necessarily only for the USA, but for the whole world. And judgment for the institution is seen at the Sunday law.
Does anybody want to add anything?
It is a mark of the beast of the seal of God. Just to repeat your thoughts.
Every individual will receive either the mark of the beast or the seal of God. So judgment at close of probation comes to those who receive the mark of the beast. Is that okay?
Question that I've received is the following. Are there plans to update the baptismal vows? Many of us no longer adhere to certain lifestyle vows, such as avoiding television, varied music, or a non-vegan diet. These discrepancies make it unclear what the expectations are. Will the vows be revised to reflect our current practices? So there are multiple questions here. I'm prepared to answer them, but there's a caveat to my answer. It's conditional. We have 7 continental leaders.
I don't want you
Is that right, 7? Okay, we're going to count just to double check. I think there's 7 of us.
to just be,
And as I indicated yesterday, I'm not the leader of the movement that makes or that even has the authority to make executive decisions. The baptismal vows were written and then agreed upon by the leadership in 2016. And it seems reasonable to me, if we're going to make any changes to those vows, significant changes, that should be based upon a decision that's jointly made by the current leadership. And at the moment, the current leadership model that we have is, as I said, 7 continental leaders. So I haven't discussed this question, this important question, with them. So these are my thoughts. And we have another continental leader at the front with us, but I didn't want to put them on the spot unless they want to answer a question. We'll go backwards. Last question. Will the vows be revised to reflect our current practices? My answer is no. There will not be change to reflect your current practices. Question 1. Are there plans to update the baptismal vows? Yes, there are. But it's a slow process. And I just apologize for that. At a very simple level, there are 3 changes that need to be made or addressed, or 3 issues that need to be addressed. One are doctrinal issues. For instance, recently I think I did a presentation on vow, it was 24, maybe 21. It's the vow that relates to 9/11, I think. And the study indicated that there needs to be some kind of change. But that study didn't define doctrine. So there are various doctrinal changes that need to happen. One of them, I would expect to have an additional vow that states explicitly the issue of equality. Number 2, the issue of gender. The existing vows, in its language, is heavily influenced by inspiration. Both the Bible and Spirit of Prophecy. And
pense que les deux doivent être inscrits de genre.
you might think that that's a relatively straightforward thing to do. But it's not. And without explaining the intricacies of why it isn't, that's why a new gender-neutral version has not been officially done. The questions you can see, and I think there's 2, and then there's a little bit of context in the middle. That's going to relate to point 3. And hopefully it's going to help to answer the last question where I said no. Many of us no longer adhere to the lifestyle issues or lifestyle vows that are in baptismal vows. So I'm going to call number 3 reforms. So the inference would be from this question, because your individual practices no longer adhere to what the vows state, should we, or would it not be prudent to change the vows to reflect our practices? And you can see the context is dealing with the reform vow. They're tucked right in the middle and there's 4 of them. So those 4 reform vowels were not put in, were not added originally,
n'ont pas été ajoutés au livre
to reflect your individual life pattern.
pour refléter vos pratiques de vie individuelle.
They were condensed or a synopsis from
C'est une synopsis à la fois de la Bible et de la vie.
seems to me
Ce qui me semble
to be a standard or an expectation that God has laid before you.
qui me semble être un standard ou une attente que Dieu a laissé devant nous. Et moi,
And if you believe that you don't want to adhere to those rules,
et si vous croyez que vous ne devriez plus adhérer à ces règles,
then it seems to me that's the question between you and God.
alors il me semble que c'est
can take
une question à traiter entre vous et Dieu.
So I think I've answered that question.
Je pense avoir répondu à cette question.
Target says there are some discrepancies which make it clear the expectations are. If you have a teacher that gives their opinions that are in opposition to what the vowels say, it would be unclear. But if it's taught, if your classes are taught according to the vowels, I'm not sure what's unclear about the expectations. So one thing hasn't changed in my mind, this issue about these being vowels. Because if we asked you to read a Spirit of Prophecy health book, and you asserted that you had read the document and that you agreed with the document and that you would direct your life according to what you had read, that seems to me the same thing as having these four vowels. I think people take the word vow too literally. What has changed, because something has changed, the rules have not changed. The standards haven't changed because they were taken straight out of inspiration. What has changed is our relationship to those councils or rules or regulations. Without discussing the consequences, the four vows are no longer considered law, they're considered good advice. And if people don't follow that advice, without going into the exact details, point by point, I don't want to add in uncertainty, but I think I'm going to be forced to. The uncertainty is the word unlikely. Not probable. It's very unlikely that there'll be any consequences if you don't keep those 4 vows. It's very unlikely that you will be punished if you break any of those vows. I would suggest to you, if you're taking baptismal vows, to be honest with your teacher and tell them which vows you will keep and which ones you won't. Let's see where that leads us. My answer. Back to Carolina.
Yeah, the question is, in 2019, there was a strong call for equality and women's rights. Emphasizing pants as a symbol of equality. Now it seems pants are optional with women, including leaders wearing bikinis and short dresses, for example. Should we focus on upholding equality in our values? Rather than specific clothing choices? I think for a moment in the movement, it was necessary for women to be pushed to use pants. And I think, yes, upholding equality in values is more important than specific clothing choices. Because as adults, we should have the honesty to follow the principles of equality. And I think Elder Pamina wants to complement the answer.
I wasn't going to, but I will. Maybe if someone's willing to put their hand up. Since last few years, since 2021, has any of you been questioned by leadership? Not a fellow member. By someone in a leadership position regarding what you dress, also what you're wearing. Put your hand up if someone in leadership position has critiqued what you wear since the last 4 years. One person, and they're not one person out of 120 people. I asked that question because it seems to me that we are doing what the questioner has said that, or inferred that we should be doing. Has my question been, or my point been made? Since 2021, the last 4 years, have any of you been questioned or criticized about what you wear by someone in a leadership position? And for the people online, no one's putting their hand up. I lost the second question. Have you been critiqued or criticized by another member? One person, two people. One was a man and one was a woman. So 2 people over the last 4 years have been criticized by members, not leaders. So the point I was making was, I think we are upholding the last sentence that the questioner said, should we not be upholding? We're running out of time. So I just want to jump to page 4. It doesn't mean anything to the people. Which is the section that's that Eleanor has. It's a joint question. What I mean by that, I guess 2 people would respond to it. So this is for Elder Terry and Eleanor. And I'll leave it to one of them to actually read out the question.
The first double question. You say the Sunday law is at the crowning of the King Trump on January 2025, and Terry said the Sunday law is July 18. Is that correct?
Alors, tu dis que la loi dimanche est le couronnement du roi en janvier 2025 et l'ancienneté dit que la loi du dimanche et le 18 juillet.
I'm not yet fixed on my opinion what exactly is the Sunday law. But I don't see the Sunday law on July 2024. And at the moment, I believe it will be 2025. And will have to do with the certification.
I said that Sunday law is July 2024.
Et moi, je dis que la loi c'est au mois de juillet 2024.
We previously looked at the Sunday law as 2014.
On a regardé en premier à la loi dimanche 2014.
2014, it's the beginning of the takeover of the Republican Party.
Et en 2014, c'est le commencement du renversement de la partie républicaine.
On July 18, that was completed.
Et en juillet, le 10 juillet, ça a été achevé.
So the two Sunday laws are connect 2014 to July.
Et les deux lois dimanche connectent la loi dimanche.
And there were multiple articles referring to Donald Trump as being crowned.
Et il y a plusieurs articles qui font référence au fait que Donald Trump a été couronné.
The reason they say he's crowned is because that position was uncontested.
La raison pour laquelle on dit qu'il est couronné, c'est parce que ça n'a pas été contesté.
He won all the primaries and it was a done deal when you got to July.
Et il a
There was nobody to contest that position.
et il y a tout le monde contesté cette position.
I would argue that he was crowned by his party,
Couronné par son parti,
which is half of the country, but not yet by the whole country.
Could you talk a little more?
Okay, so I could ask them to do the second question as well.
alors il y a la demande de faire la deuxième question aussi.
Could you talk a little more about what you would identify as formalization Exeter in this dispensation, 2021 to Sunday law?
Alors, dans la préparation de la continuation, continuation 2021.
So the question is, which dispensation are we in?
Alors, la question, c'est dans quelle transition nous trouvons-nous?
Are we in the dispensation of 2021 to Sunday law?
Sommes-nous dans la-
Or are we in the dispensation of Sunday law to the close of probation? So taking the question at face value
Et en prenant la question pour ce qu'elle est,
and looking at the formalization of 2021 to Sunday law,
et regardant
then I guess I'm forced to go to my last question.
donc je suis obligée d'aller en la question.
And if I think that Exeter is May 30 of 2024,
Je pense que c'est 2024.
where Samuelson Snow taught the message twice.
Quand Samuel Snow a enseigné le message de foi.
Yes.
Oui.
So I believe that Exeter is in May. Oh, sorry. Yes, in May of this year.
Donc je crois que Exeter, c'est en mai cette année.
People may be confused. People may be confused of what Elder Terry just said. This was the last question that was for Elder Terry. It said, Elder Terry, do you think that Exeter is May 30? Because Exeter is the midnight cry. Samuel Snow taught his message twice, once in May, once in April, in application. He was just referring.
À ce qu'elle faisait référence.
So my position is that we are not in the dispensation of 2021 2 Sunday law. We are not in that dispensation anymore, but the formalization of that dispensation
Mais la France,
was May 30.
c'était le 30 mai.
Are you able to tell us what the event was of May 30th?
That was Trump's, Trump's conviction
C'était la condamnation de Trump.
Trump was found guilty in the New York trial
Alors, Trump, il a été reconnu coupable de New York.
This is the hush money case.
La femme d'un journaliste,
He was convicted on all 34 counts.
il a été donc
This would force the Republican Party to nominate a convicted felon.
et
That hush money case has to do with election interference.
Et cette affaire qu'on appelle le fonctionnaire de cette accusation est en lien avec l'interférence électorale.
He kept important information away from the electorate that would have affected the outcome of that election.
Ces informations importantes qui auraient changé les résultats du vote.
And we would note he is yet to be sentenced.
Et nous sommes la
So regarding Exeter and the dispensation between 2021 and the Sunday law, this was not the focus of my study. And I would do more research. But in case the Sunday law is in 2025, I believe Exeter will be in 2024. I think it must be a point and a period. And I could imagine that July definitely has to do something with it. But I think we would need more evidence that this is Exeter.
You've all checked your watches. You'll know that Sabbath is just upon us.
vous voyez que ça va arriver là.
Are we singing hymn or are we just going to pray? Okay. Are we going to close Sabbath and then they're going to do something? Okay, so we're just going to pray. I can't see everybody. Is Kathy McGraw amongst us? Would you mind coming to the front to pray to open Sabbath, please?
Join me in prayer. Holy God, we praise you and thank you. We are delighted to welcome the Sabbath together. Taste a bit of heaven while we are still gathered. Continue to bless us, guide us, and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Test. Alors, je souhaite à chacun un bon sabbat. Mhm. 169. Patrick, 169. Joyeusement, nous saluons.
Si vous le voulez. Stay connected with us if you want. Thank you.
Je souhaite à chacun un bon sabbat.
Un happy Sabbath.
Et pour ce faire, nous allons entonner ensemble le numéro 169, Joyeusement, nous saluons.
And we will sing all together in French. The 169. Et c'est quoi? Yes, we with joy we open the Sabbath. Alors, je vais demander à oui, qui est quand même un chant. Venez, venez. Allez, venez là. Maurice.
Joyeusement nous saluons le Saint du Seigneur. Avec bonheur, nous saluons sur notre Rédempteur. Notre maison, tous rassemblés, notre foi, notre cœur. Nos images sacrées, notre Dieu sauveur. À l'Église ici-bas, tous guidés par l'Esprit, nous pardonnons Seigneur Jésus-Christ. Salut, sainté, béni, Seigneur, pour tout son
Faire quoi encore? Je vais faire quoi encore?
Donc, nous allons chanter un chant en anglais
Voilà.
pour le sabbat.
We will sing the song Don't Forget the Sabbath in English, but we don't know the number. 388. So 388, don't forget the Sabbath. So we need you as the English spoken people to help us. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un, maybe somebody in English can lead the song?
Okay, I don't know how to sing, but follow me. So we are going to sing Don't Forget the Sabbath, 388 on your phone. Okay. Tu connais pas? Okay, c'est pas grave. Okay, so at 3, okay, 2, 3. Yeah. Don't forget the Sabbath, the Lord our God has blessed. Of all the week, the brightest, of all the week, the best. It brings response from labor. It tells of joy to come. It becomes like descent with heavenly to shine. Welcome, 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 man. Welcome, blessed Sabbath day. Welcome, welcome, man.
to welcome blessed Sabbath day. Keep the Sabbath holy. Keep the Sabbath holy and worship him today. Who said to his disciples, I am the lead. And he with me for I say, fountain with streams eternal flow. Welcome, welcome, blessed Sabbath day. Welcome, welcome, blessed Sabbath day. Day of sacred blessings, His golden hours will spend in thankful hymns to Jesus, the children's dearest friend. Oh, gentle loving Savior, how good and kind, how gracious is